Hello everyone, so I have some satellite imagery here of recent drone strikes in Russia. Some of these are older strikes, but with fresh satellite imagery confirming the damage, where others are more recent strikes. The first one, on screen now, is the before from a Ukrainian drone strike on Russia's 100th GRAU arsenal in the Neysky district of Kostroma. This strike took place in early January. On screen now is the before, and you can see that this is a large arsenal, consisting of multiple hardened structures and warehouses for storing and preparing ammunition. No big underground bunkers are seen here though, so it seems that artillery shells are here rather than missiles, which are typically in the underground bunkers. And here the aftermath confirming that three structures were destroyed in this drone strike by Ukraine. Two of them are ammunition warehouses, one of them looks to be a generic warehouse, which I'll check later. Now, we did see some low quality satellite imagery a week or so ago showing this, but the damage was unclear, with one shown destroyed on that and one possible. So this imagery gives more confirmation. This image doesn't show us much, but the uploader has given us some zoomed in images, so let's check those out. First, this shelter here, on screen now for before, and here the aftermath, showing that this shelter is completely destroyed. Also, to the right hand side, you can see that a pile of rubble has appeared. This isn't another destroyed shelter. No ammunition warehouse or structure was visible here on the before imagery. I'm not sure what this is. Maybe materials gathered to try and repair the destroyed building or something. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's just debris that's here. Russia best be careful it doesn't land on one of their oil refineries. The next two are next to each other. Now, the one on the right is in some sort of dug in revetment, so is ammunition storage. The one on the left, I'm not too sure. This looks more like a workshop or utility building rather than a storage facility, given the lack of dug in revetment around it for protection. So, I don't think ammunition was stored here. It looks in a really bad way already, to be honest. Like part of it is partially collapsed or in the process of collapsing. Looks like a good breeze will finish this one off and knock it over. But on the aftermath, both of them are destroyed. So, this was a good strike, but not as good as we were perhaps expecting when this first occurred. You may remember, with the past arsenals hit by Ukraine were almost completely wiped off the map, as was the arsenal near Moscow, which Ukraine didn't hit but had a visit from Private Numnotikov, who decided to have a smoke near the missile storage. I think the lack of complete destruction here is because it was artillery shells stored here, rather than missiles, which are more exploded. But two ammo storage facilities destroyed, and one which I think is a workshop rather than storage, it's still a decent strike by Ukraine. That's a bunch of ammunition, which won't end up going to the front lines. And zoomed out, you can see this was a good long range strike as well, at nearly 1,000 kilometres to the border with Ukraine. Now, let's check out our next satellite imagery. This is a strike that took place last week on Taman oil depot, which is near Port Taman in Krasnodar region. This image shows the key area here of the before satellite imagery, and here's the aftermath. Now, the uploader mentions 5 oil tanks were hit, and has shown them on the map, but a couple of them could be a bit speculative. These could just be the shadows here, but unless Cliff Richard shows up, we can't be sure. But certainly on the top row we have 2 oil tanks completely destroyed, and next to it, a shadow near one of the oil tanks. This shadow is going a different way than the others, so is likely damage of some sort, I think. On the bottom row, the first one looks a bit speculative to me. I don't think this was hit. I think this here is just a shadow. Now, an interesting one is on the top right. Signs of fire damage near a cluster of pipes and other machinery. This imagery is far too blurry to show what was actually here, so let's check Google Maps to see if that tells us any more. So it's here. There doesn't seem to be anything hugely important here in terms of infrastructure. It's mainly just a big empty lot with some buildings around the edges and some pipes around, but not a massive amount of pipes. But then, Ukraine must have hit this for a reason, so it must be much more important than it first appears, as Ukraine wouldn't waste a drone on nothing. I'm not sure what purpose these structures here serve. If anyone knows, please leave a comment in the comment section. And this is here zoomed out slightly, so it's an oil depot to the north of the port itself. This port was also reported hit during the strike, but we don't have any satellite imagery from the other areas yet. Taman port has been hit by drones before. Those ones hit the oil loading terminals and the pipeline that you can see. So, another good strike by Ukraine here. And the oil depot is here. near the Kerch Strait in the Krasnodar region of Russia. Now we're going to check our final image of a drone strike, but I also have a satellite imagery and update on the Grinch, the tanker that France boarded a week or so ago. And as a Brucey bonus, another video, which I'm going to attach on the end. So next up is the Penza oil depot, our most recent oil depot hit, which was a few days ago. On screen now is the before. So you can see that there are 15 oil tanks in total here, all clustered together, plus 2 more oil tanks further south on their own. One of them is out of view. And as we can see here, just one oil tank destroyed here, unfortunately. Well, given the staining on the oil tank to the top left of it, it is possible that another one was damaged as well. But this is a little bit disappointing. This fire here burned for 2 days before Russia was able to extinguish it, and we were all a bit hopeful that this fire was going to spread and take out multiple oil tanks. But unfortunately, that isn't the case. But still, I guess we can't complain and sniff and turn our noses up at a Russian oil tank being destroyed. It's still a good blow against Russian oil infrastructure. And this was a decent range strike as well, just over 600 kilometers to the border with Ukraine. So, another nice failure of Russian air defense systems here. But of course, we are all well used to that by now. The Russians, however, still think they're effective. Finally, an update on the Grinch, which is a tanker which France boarded and captured last week. Satellite images shared yesterday, which is on screen now, shows that the Grinch is still in French hands, shown here off the coast of France, about 1.4 kilometers offshore. Nearby, a pair of French ships are shown, a Loire class, which is an offshore support and assistance vessel, and also nearby a small unidentified patrol boat. At least that's what the upload of the satellite imagery says it is. France has said that the captain of the tanker is in custody now, so it doesn't seem like France is going to let go of the Grinch anytime soon, much to the joy of the Who's of Whoville, who I'm sure will be glad to see him gone. This tanker is a part of Russia's Shadow Fleet, and is the second one boarded by Europe, I believe, after one boarded by the Italians. Now, that's it for this video, but I'm also going to play a video in a moment which I recorded last week as a Brucey bonus. It's satellite imagery of a strike on a Russian oil depot. And rather than let it go to waste, it might as well go on here for you all. Thanks for watching the video, and take care everybody. Hello everyone, so I saw satellite imagery here of a recent drone or missile strike on a Russian ammo depot in Donetsk. If you want a quick recap, it's this one playing now. So a large ammo depot that burned for hours with artillery shells detonating, and even some rockets or missiles going up. The imagery is low quality, but it gets the job done. First, on screen now, is the target building. This was speculated to be these two after the initial video, because they were geolocated to be filming towards this direction. 2 warehouses are shown here. Now, let's check the aftermath. This is low quality because of the cloud cover, but you can see that both buildings were destroyed. The one on the left, the long warehouse, looks like where the bulk of the ammunition was. The building is completely destroyed and shows extensive signs of fire damage thanks to the cook-off. The second warehouse, the larger one, is destroyed too, but less so. Now, the second building, I don't know if it was also hit by drones or missiles as well, but just turned out to be empty, or if this was damaged by the huge blast in the target building and had shells and rockets and debris land on it. I think it's the former. There is some fire damage to that building on its bottom part, but much less so, and I think it's likely as a result of the initial fire spreading here, rather than anything being exploded inside. But certainly, the first warehouse has gone for a Burton, along with everything that was inside at the time. Now, as a Brucey bonus, I am wondering if that second warehouse may have been used by barracks for Russia, because this Russian telegram post mentions deaths there. I'll read it out. A terrible tragedy, huge losses. May the kingdom of heaven rest in peace to our military friends Victor, Sergei, and Ivan, and to the others who fell. There's a lot that could be said about this situation, but it can't be said, at least not yet. So, reading between the lines here, the Russian commander in his infinite wisdom decided to use a warehouse next to the buildings stacked to the gills with ammunition as a barracks. Genius idea. It could be that these were guards or workers unloading the ammo crates, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The post mentions huge losses, too many for this just to be scrubs unloading the boxes. And 3 were named who were friends, but it also says others in addition to those 3 fell as well. Presumably, the person in charge of this blunder is also going to fall out of a skyscraper window. So that seems like an awful lot of people to me, which does suggest that this was being used as a barracks building. The fact that he also says a lot could be said about this, but he can't at the moment, also suggests to me that he realises a massive blunder has been made here. So I do think the building next door to the highly explosive ammunition was being used as a barracks. So even if Ukraine didn't hit this, it was an accident waiting to happen. All it needed was for Sergei and his chums to use one of the artillery shells nearby as an ashtray again, and would have got the same result. This is here zoomed out, so the ammunition here would have been supporting the eastern front and more importantly, the area of Pokrovsk, the key area at the moment. So that's it for this video. Hope you found it interesting. If so, please click like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Thanks so much and take care everybody.